YouTube. Hi, everybody. We're back just talking about Trump's wave of terrorism for about 10 minutes. Trump terrorists struck in at least 5 cities on No King's Day, or 6 cities, I guess, at least, but I'm sure there's more than I'm not aware of, so I'm hoping that people in comments will let me know of other cities where Trump terrorists struck on No King's Day. The ones I know of were, of course, the ones in Minnesota. I guess 2 different cities in Minnesota, but struck in cities in Minnesota, struck in a second Trump terrorist struck in Nashville, a Nazi Trump terrorist struck in Nashville, a red-shirted Trump terrorist struck, red-shirted and masked Trump terrorist struck in Phoenix, and a black outfitted Trump terrorist struck in Salt Lake City, and then a lady Trump terrorist struck in another city that I don't know which city it was. This was all on the No King's Day protest. 4 different Trump terrorists after the one who killed people. So 5 different Trump terrorists on the same day that I know of just from doing very basic research. And some of the research I did was just watching an Adam Mockler video in which he mentioned 3 or 4 of these Trump terrorists, but not the 5th one. So even somebody who makes a living off of talking about this stuff only identified 3 or 4 of the Trump terrorists who struck on that day, when at least 5 struck. So if you know of other Trump terrorists who struck on King's Day, put them in comments. Otherwise, uh, don't worry about commenting stuff. We're only going to be live for about 6 more minutes, but we're just making sure that everybody knows, or that more people can find out, that we do know 6 Trump terrorists struck on No King's Day, 2025, and that's why Trump needs to be stopped, because his terrorists will keep striking until someone stops them or someone stops him, and Putin and Netanyahu. They're all part of the same terrorist network. But the Trump terrorists who struck on No King's Day were, of course, in Minnesota, which, by the way, who do you think the first revenge killing will be? Elon Musk or something less white, like a sheet of paper on which they write a strongly worded letter? But Trump terrorists struck in Minnesota, Trump terrorists struck in Salt Lake City, Trump terrorists struck in Phoenix, and a Trump terrorist struck in Nashville, and a Trump terrorist struck in another city that Adam Mockler was talking about, but I don't know what city that was. That was a lady terrorist who was trying to pull her gun out, and then heroes tackled her to the ground. Another Trump terrorist, the one in Salt Lake City, did shoot somebody and was himself shot, or shot himself as well, and an American hero stole his gun away, and the cops took him away. And then the Trump terrorist in Phoenix got himself beat up, until the peaceful protesters, like 6 or 7 peaceful protesters, got the guy who was beating him up to stop beating him up, and then he pulled his gun out on everybody, and then the cops took him away. And then the cops eventually, after like 2-3 days, caught the Trump terrorist who was killing people in Minnesota. So if you know of other cities, or if you know where that lady, if you saw that video of the lady Trump terrorist who was trying to pull her gun out on the No Kings protest and got tackled to the ground, and you know what city that's in, let me know in comments. Or if you know of other Trump terrorists who struck on No King's Day, let me know in comments. I know of 5, so I'll review those 5 Trump terrorists for people who are new to life. But also, who do you think the first revenge killing will be? Elon Musk or something less white, like a sheet of paper on which they write a strongly worded letter? So the 5 Trump terrorists who struck on No King's Day were Minnesota. Trump terrorists struck in Minnesota the night before. Trump terrorists struck in Nashville, Salt Lake City, Phoenix, and another city. There was a lady Trump terrorist who struck in another city, but a male Trump terrorist struck in Salt Lake City, a male Trump terrorist struck in Phoenix, and a male Trump terrorist struck in Nashville. Do you know of other Trump terrorists besides those 5 that all struck on No King's Day? Let me know in comments if you know of other cities where Trump terrorists struck on No King's Day. And I don't mean the ICE terrorists. I mean like rando Trump terrorists. The ICE terrorists, who knows how many cities they struck in. But the rando Trump terrorists struck in these 5 cities that I'm aware of, although I'm not sure what one of the cities is, because Adam Mockler didn't do a great job of reporting that, or else I didn't watch the video closely enough. But anyway, only be live for a little bit more. But who do you think the first revenge killing will be? Elon Musk or something less white, like a sheet of paper on which they write a strongly worded letter? So 5 cities where Trump terrorists struck on No King's Day: Minnesota, El Paso, or not El Paso, Salt Lake City, Phoenix, and, well, probably El Paso, I don't know, Phoenix and Nashville. and then another city. Do you know what other cities Trump terrorists struck on No King's Day, or the night before and since No King's Day? Of course, a lot of people know that a Trump terrorist struck in Minnesota the night before, but also the Trump terrorist struck in Nashville, Salt Lake City, Phoenix, and another city. So, do you know of other cities where Trump terrorists struck? And who do you think the first revenge killing will be? Elon Musk, or something less white, a piece of paper on which they write a strongly worded letter? So, Trump terrorists struck obviously in Minnesota the night before No King's Day, and then Trump terrorists struck in Salt Lake City, and then Trump terrorists struck in Nashville, and Trump terrorists struck in Phoenix. The Salt Lake City Trump terrorists shot somebody. They didn't kill him, but the terrorist did shoot somebody and shot himself, or somebody else shot him, and an American hero took away the Trump terrorist's gun, and then the cops took away the Trump terrorist. That guy was wearing all black. If you saw somebody with a red shirt that the cops were taking away from a No Kings protest, that guy was in Phoenix, got his ass beat, pulled his gun out on everybody, and the cops took him away. So that's two Trump terrorists after the one who killed the congresswomen in Minnesota. And then there was a Trump terrorist in Nashville who also showed up doing Nazi salutes and yelling Nazi chants for Trump. And he had a gun too, and he got taken away by the police. So, and then the third Trump terrorist, I assume she got taken away by the police, but she got tackled by the security of the protest when she tried to pull a gun out on the No Kings protest. So that's 5 Trump terrorists who struck in 5 different cities on the No King's Day. And who else was talking about this? Just this, the apparently only anti-Trump live on YouTube. And they seem to only provide Trump-Putineer trolls and terrorists to the chat, to view this live, to provide chat. Nobody's chatted yet, so I don't know who's watching. But in previous lives I've been doing, they really only put Trump-Putineer terrorists in here to troll me and identify themselves as terrorists and Nazis. So anyway, these Trump terrorists did hit 5 different cities. Nobody's talking about it, but who do you think the first revenge killing will be? Elon Musk, or something less white, like a piece of paper on which they write a strongly worded letter. But yeah, the Trump terrorist struck in Minnesota, but people aren't calling him a terrorist, even though they called the Boulder terrorist a terrorist before the flames were put out, even though he didn't kill anybody. Trump terrorist who struck in Minnesota did kill people. The Trump terrorist who struck in Salt Lake City shot somebody, but was also shot, and American hero took his gun away. Somebody wrote a comment that had to be held for review. I'm glad I'm turning this live off soon. Potentially inappropriate comments are held for review. It's still potentially inappropriate. Dude, anybody can find this out. There's a very triggered Trump terrorist. Here, I'll show their comments. There's a very triggered Trump terrorist in comments because he's a terrorist. I mean, terrorists, I guess, are mad when you call them terrorists. You would think at least Al-Qaeda is proud of what they are. But Trump-Putineers like, we're not terrorists, we're not. He's like, you're doing the terrorism. Maybe if you stop doing the terrorism, we couldn't rightfully call you terrorists. If you stop doing and supporting the terrorism, because you're right now supporting the terrorism. You're supporting the terrorist who shot the congresswomen. You're supporting the terrorist who tried to shoot people, who shot somebody in Salt Lake City. That's another Trump terrorist you're supporting. Another Trump terrorist you're trying to support is the terrorist who tried to shoot everybody at the Phoenix rally. That's another Trump terrorist you're supporting. And another Trump terrorist you're supporting is the Trump terrorist who was doing Nazi salutes and saying Nazi chants at the Nashville No Kings protest. That's another Trump terrorist you're supporting. And then there was a Trump terrorist who showed up in an undetermined city that Adam Mockler was talking about. I just didn't catch what city he was talking about. When she tried to pull her gun out, they tackled her to the ground. But that's another Trump terrorist that you support. Oh, and guess what you also support? AI deepfake child porn. Because Trump's bill legalizes AI deepfake child porn. That's what you're for. That's what you are. A Trump terrorist. So I told the truth. You can't handle it. I'm shutting down the live because, once again, YouTube only puts Trump terrorists in my live. This is a live to catch Trump terrorists. So I guess for justice and retribution purposes, it can be useful. Oh, that's right. Scott Chamblin. Scott Chamblin is the Trump terrorist we got this time. Scott with 2 T's, Chamblin. Channel activity includes joined 4 years ago, has 0 subscribers. Go ahead and screenshot that for the posses. Grab 'em by the posse is just a hashtag right now, but when grab 'em by the posse becomes more of a trend. Scott Chamblin. Love you too. Thanks, Amber. So we're just talking about the Trump terrorists, the 5 Trump terrorists who struck in 5 different cities. There's 5 different people watching right now. Have y'all all heard about all 5 of the cities where Trump terrorists struck? Because I don't even know what one of the cities was. I just saw it in an Adam Mockler video. But of course, Minnesota, Trump terrorists striking overnight in Minnesota. Trump terrorist shot somebody in Salt Lake City. Trump terrorist tried to shoot people in Phoenix. He got his ass beat. Cops saved him, and the peaceful protesters saved him from the guy who was beating his ass. Trump terrorist was yelling Nazi salutes, or doing Nazi salutes and yelling pro-Nazi Trump stuff at the Nashville protest and with a rifle, and he got taken away by the police. And then there was a lady Trump terrorist. I don't know what city she was in. She had a gun. She was about to pull it out on the protest, and people tackled her to the ground. And I assume the cops took her off. I assume the cops probably gave her a party like they did the Trump terrorists who shot the Democratic congressman in Minnesota, most likely. So, oh, looks like they're here. So, sorry, we better go. But yeah, grab them by the posse is what's going to happen to the Trump terrorists. So, see y'all later. Stop being terrorists. What's up, Isaac?